Hey guys, in this video we're going to be examining my slideshow on why do people commit crimes and rehabilitation programs for people that do commit crimes. So why do people commit crimes? First slide, straight up. Crime is a complex issue with many contributing factors. This presentation will explore various social, psychological, and economic influences that can lead people to commit crimes. By understanding these factors, we can develop more effective prevention and rehabilitation strategies. So like I stated before in the previous video that it comes down to a lot of different factors. So in these slideshows we will dig deeper into each of these slides and each of these different things that may affect more specifically. So first, let's get into mental disorders. Mental disorders can be a risk factor for criminal behavior, but not all people with mental illnesses are criminals. It's important to remind me that studies suggest the link between certain disorders and crimes, such as schizophrenia can lead to distorted perceptions and difficulty controlling their behavior, which can lead to criminal behavior. Bipolar disorder, very extreme mood swings can lead to impulsive and risky behavior. Anti-personality disorder, lack of empathy and disregard for social norms can definitely lead to criminal behavior. A lot of these factors can lead and do lead to criminal behavior, and like I said before, we have to remember not everyone with these mental illnesses may get into that criminal behavior, but they definitely are affected by it. So an estimated 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. experience mental illnesses in a given year. So it's a lot of people that are more people than expected that are being affected by these mental disorders. So the next slide we're going to dive into is race and crime and the correlation between the two. Race is a complex factor when it comes to crime statistics. Incarceration rates for people of color are significantly higher than for whites, even when controlling the crimes. Even when controlling the crime rates, this disparity may be due to factors such as poverty, lack of opportunity, racial profiling by law enforcement, differential sentencing practices, and when it comes down to it, 52% of arrests are white people and 48% are minorities. So when it comes down to it, it seems pretty 50-50, but when you take into account that minorities make up for so many different races across the board, crime definitely dips its feet into so many different types of races and different types of people of color due to that. So race definitely has a complex factor when it comes to crime statistics. Another factor, and this one's pretty huge, if anything the most important to me, it's environment. Growing up in a high crime neighborhood can increase a person's risk of engaging in criminal activity. Factors such as poverty, gang activity, and violence can create a culture where crime is seen as a normal part of life. And that's why I say in the last video, these people go back to these environments at the end of the day. So no matter what they're told or how we feel, them, when they go home, this is normal. Just how you going home and feeding your dog is normal, them going home and seeing some criminal activity is normal. So growing up, they're going to just think that it's normal, And conversely, living in a safe and supportive environment can be a protective factor against crime. In 2022, the U.S. Department of Justice came out with a study that youths in families with incomes below poverty lines are 2.5 times more likely to be arrested for violent crimes than those from higher income families. So that just shows the difference in environments. You know, the kids that are in more poverty-stricken neighborhoods are 2.5 times more likely to be arrested for violent crime. So that just shows with that research the whopping difference. So we talked about peer pressure last video. Let's get a little more into it. Peer pressure can be a powerful influence, especially during adolescence. Like I said, teens and adolescents find and need a sense of belonging, a sense of place, a sense of this is home, this is me, I'm accepted here. So when they can fall into the wrong crowd, it definitely can lead them to bad things, because adolescents and high schoolers themselves, they are already getting themselves into trouble, peer pressure by themselves, let alone they need a friend to give that peer pressure and give that. Teens maybe were likely to commit crimes if their friends are involved in the criminal activity. Positive peer groups can provide support and deter crime. So it definitely depends the crowd you're falling into and what type of peer pressure. One may be peer pressuring you to go home and study, while the other's peer pressuring you to commit a crime. So it definitely depends. A whopping 85% of high school students report experiencing peer pressure. So 85%, I'm not a mathematician, but that is a pretty huge percent of high school students that experience peer pressure. So on to the next slide, parental influence. Parental factors can influence a child's risk of criminal behavior, and not to say this goes without saying, but it's definitely pretty, I don't even want to say obvious, but it's a huge factor that parental's influence on some child, like we talked about environments and families and how that has an effect. Some definitely, if kids see their parent or their parents committing these type of behaviors, it's definitely gonna affect them, even if they don't see them committing crimes necessarily. Neglect or abuse, lack of supervision, harsher, inconsistent discipline, criminal parents, substance abuse problems, poor family communication, they all and may be more likely to engage in criminal activity. Students who lack parental involvement are 34% more likely to drop out of school. 34%. So that just shows how much a parent's involvement in their child's life goes and how far that goes. So next we're going to dig into drugs and crime. Drug use and addiction can be a significant factor in crime, whether that is the crime of buying and selling drugs itself, the way people need to get said drugs, the way people need to get said money for drugs. It's all a big ball field of crime. So drugs can impair judgment and decision making, on top of everything, leading to impulsive and risky behavior once they are on said drugs. People addicted to drugs may commit crimes to obtain money for drugs, as I just spoke about. Certain drugs such as methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin can cause psychosis and paranoia, increasing the risk of violent crime. So that's definitely huge to remember. And even this fact shows a lot of how drugs may have a factor on people. It says around 46% of federal prisoners are incarcerated for drug-related crimes. So 46% is damn near half. So almost half of federal prisoners are incarcerated for drug-related crimes. So like I said, it's just a huge ballpark, spewing and ready to get crime going. It's sad, but it is what it is. And now let's hop over to gender. At first I didn't think this was going to be too big of a difference. Excuse me. Didn't think it would be too big of a difference, but after getting into it and researching it, it's actually pretty surprising. Men are incarcerated at significantly higher rates than women. Men in the U.S. 2020, the incarceration rate was 624 per 100,000 for men, and 102 per 100,000 for women. The Bureau of Justice Statistics gave us that one. So reasons for disparity may include gender roles and expectations, socialization and exposure to violence, reporting differences for crimes against women. In the U.S., over 80% of those crimes. Oh no, sorry about that. In the U.S., over 80% of those arrested are male, so that just shows who's a little more likely to commit a crime in this country or in the other country, because that research can be kind of showed anywhere or related to anything. So next one is social media. Social media is very new, so there's not too much direct percentage research on social media due to it being relatively new. We do know the impact of social media on crime is complex and it's not fully understood. Some studies suggest a link between violent content and aggressive behavior. Maybe your kids are watching some stuff they may not supposed to be. It may link to their actual actions in real life. But however, social media can also be a tool for positive and social interaction and community building. So it's a very complex situation when it comes down to it. Another one that we are going to get into is education and crime. Studies consistently show negative correlation between the education level and crime rates. Individuals with higher levels of education are less likely to be incarcerated. Education can provide individuals with increased job opportunities, so they may not need to feel the need to steal. Improved problem-solving skills, a sense of purpose and belonging. Bureau of Justice Statistics in 2022 gave us the research that in the U.S., 72% of jail inmates lack a high school diploma. So 72%, that is almost 3/4 of jail inmates lack a high school diploma. So you can make an argument there definitely for lack of education. It has a big factor on people committing these crimes and following into that lifestyle. Next one is... Sorry about that. Next one is a little on the fence for me. It was something that I didn't really know about until I researched it. The research on the link between diet and crime. It's inconclusive, but yet some studies may suggest a connection between poor nutrition and impulsive behavior. However, other factors like socioeconomic status and access to healthy food options must be considered. Correctional facilities found inmates with vitamin deficiency were 30 more likely to commit disciplinary infractions. And what I get from this is, we are what we eat. If someone is eating a great balanced diet, they feel great. They think great. They're thinking clearly. They're thinking ahead. But someone that is just only eating the bare minimum, a poor diet, poor nutrition, it's definitely going to affect their real life skills like decision making and impulsive behavior. It's definitely going to affect those things when it comes down to it, because like I said, we are what we eat. If we eat horrible and we're just always eating horrible, then how are we going to even think straight? So that definitely is, I see how that is related to crime. Friends and social circles. They say the saying "birds of a feather flock together" holds some truth when it comes to crime. Individuals are more likely to commit crimes if their friends are involved in criminal activity. Positive peer groups can provide support and deter crime. And this is definitely true. Not that I want to speak into my past, but I was definitely around some people that were not making the best decisions and not making the best choices in life, and not that I ever fell into those behaviors, but definitely just being around them, it makes you more likely to just being around them is even a crime sometimes, depending on what's going on. So it definitely can make you more likely to commit crimes if your friends are involved in it. And positive peer groups, like I said, can provide support and deter crime. And so let's dive into religion and crime. Religious affiliation can be protective factor against crime. Religion can provide individuals with moral guidance, a sense of community, support networks, just all that good stuff that we were talking about earlier on what it comes down to when someone's coming up in an environment and understanding what these things really hold truth and the morals come down to it. So someone with religious background definitely will probably have a little more moral guidance, like I've said, on how to live life. Not to say people of religion are not criminals, because everybody, and it always comes down, like I said, to a number of factors. So definitely can't just be one. But one study found that teens who attended religious services weekly were 57% less likely to deal drugs. Can definitely make the argument there that religion helps. I mean, like I said, it's a sense of guidance, of belonging, of community. So it makes sense why they may not feel the need to go out and commit crimes as other people do. Age and crime. Age is a significant factor in crime rates. Arrest rates tend to follow a bell curve, peaking in adolescence, a young adulthood, and declining with age. Reasons for this may include increased impulsivity of risk and risk-taking behavior in younger individuals, greater life stability, and economic opportunities for older adults. Statistics consistently show that crime rates are highest among youth between 15 and 24 years old. So there is definitely arrest rates very high for younger adolescents. That may be, coming down to a lot of different factors. Maybe it's their first sense of freedom, first sense of being by themselves. They may feel the need, and like I said, stepping into the real world by themselves for the first time. And let's step into the next slide. Employment and crime. These can definitely have a huge correlation between the two. Having a job can be a protective factor against crime. Employed individuals are less likely to have free time for criminal activities. More financially stable as well, and connected to a positive social network with their colleagues. One may not feel the need to go out and steal when they know that their paycheck is coming in, and that's what they can rely on. I feel like people more steal, and that comes from a place of not knowing where this money is going to come from. How am I going to make ends meet? One study found that unemployed individuals were 3 times more likely to be arrested compared to employed individuals. And like I said, that I feel like that may come from a place of how am I going to make ends meet, and leading them to do bad things in this world. Marriage and crime. Research suggests correlation between marriage and lower crime rates. Married individuals may be less likely to engage in risky behavior, more focused on family responsibilities, have a partner who provides support and discourages crime. And this one was very interesting. I did look into it, and it's true. People are less likely to commit crimes when they have a partner in their life. Maybe for definitely a different wide variety of reasons. Taking care of family, not wanting to risk themselves in their life and go to jail for no reason. And research by Sampson in 2006 found that marriage could reduce the odds of crime by 35% for men. 35%. Just by being married, So that says a lot. Now that we're getting down to our last 2 slides, personality and crime. The relationship between personality traits and crime is complex. Some studies suggest a link between certain personality traits and criminal behavior, but these are not definitive. For example, individuals high in impulsivity or sensation seeking may be more prone to crime. Studies suggest around 20% of prisoners meet the criteria for ASPD. I forgot the initials for that, but we talked about it earlier in the video. So when it comes down to personality, it's definitely linked in certain ways, but like I said, it's not definitive. So someone with high impulsivity or more aggressive definitely may be more likely to prone to commit a crime, but doesn't necessarily mean they will, So when it comes down to our last slide, hereditary and crime, we talked about this in the last video. Research right now just doesn't back up this controversial topic in the form of saying genes can be passed down, and it can be passed down to other family members through the genetic gene pool. We just don't have studies that suggest that or back up those claims. Some studies suggest a generic predisposition for certain personality traits that could be linked to crime, like I said before, aggression, impulsivity, but however, environment plays a bigger role when it comes down to that. So in conclusion, it's a multifaceted issue. You know, crime is very complex when it comes down to it. You know, there's never going to be one single cause that you're looking for. So just get that. Once you swallow that pill, you will have a much better understanding of why people commit crimes. You know, we may see someone committing a crime and be like, what the hell are they doing? Why would they do that? They must know that's wrong. But maybe they don't. We don't know what they've been through. We don't know their life experiences. We don't know what they have seen, what they have done in this life. So it comes down to a lot. And it comes down to every person being different, each personality being different, each person's background being different, jobs, morals, everything coming down to it, religions, everything coming down to it, marital status, you know. But interplay between these environmental issues, it's never one issue. So that's my conclusion on this whole topic. We need to look at it at the big picture. If you're ever going to try to find out why someone is committing crimes, do not ever think it's just going to be one answer to, oh, because I went through this as a child. It's never going to be one thing. It's always going to be a complex mix of things. You know, maybe what they went through as a child, but plus what they seen as a child, plus what they dealt with growing up, plus what they seen growing up, plus their parent not being in their life. You know, it can be a mix of things, you know. But it's definitely not always one. It could be. It's usually not. And it's just a complex, very complex issue with no single cause. So it just comes down to that. And I hope you have a better understanding on why people commit crimes. So many factors, so many things. And like I said, even with these rehabilitation programs, these people still go back into these environments that they were bred in. So if they grew up in this criminal environment that raised them to be criminals in one way or another, these programs may help them, but at the end of the day, they're still going back into the environment that shaped them into that criminal. So we need to remember that. What is the root cause? What is causing it? And always look at the huge, big picture when it comes down to it. Thanks for listening. I hope you have a better understanding.